Hi and welcome to another video of me going to paint this picture of the forest in the night sky. It involves mountains and some trees in this painting, where I chose a purple color and I applied a monochromatic color theme to paint this whole image. And I'm quite liked at how all of the colors kind of come together, and this is also how uh, how I choose these colors so that they can appear much more cohesive, much more inclusive with and when I'm looking at the overall image of this picture and painting. Yeah, um, so let's go over what elements I have inside this painting. In the foreground is the tree, kind of a tree, and they are much more zoomed in because they are near the foreground. And behind the tree is the mountains, is the obvious you can see. But also here I put in some fog in in the in the mid of the tree and the mountains. And at the background I have the stars, the moon, and the clouds. Let's go over to the layers, each layer of this painting, and I'm going to show you how I paint this image. I am now at ibispaint X, and on my right side is the all of the layers that I used to paint, and on the left side is the inspiration reference photo I've taken to paint this picture. And I am using everything inside ibispaint X. So, and I did not create any kind of custom brushes or use any custom brushes for this one. And but for the clouds I download this oh no for the clouds I'm using the watercolor brush. Now let's go over for the first layer of this painting is the tree. Okay, let's go over to the background first because I paint the background. I named this for the sky. Background is I have is this purple base color, where I use the bucket tool and use purple. And then in the mid area here I use the airbrush. I'm going to use the airbrush and I chose a slightly lighter purple about here, and I'm brushing the kind of a lighter purple in the mid side because, like you can see in the reference photo, there is a gradient from like a dark to a darker purple. So, and I followed this color. Yeah, so I just put in the sky like this because the bottom part here is not going to be seen because of the tree foreground and all of the mountains. And the next foreground layer I paint is the tree. Let's enable the tree. So the first layer is this tree, where I'm using the tree brush. I'm using a special tree brush is inside Ibis Paint X, this one, and I choose a slightly darker purple, so about here, and I paint in the trees. And then for the next layer of tree would be slightly a shade of purple, it's about here, and I put in the trees. And the next would be the mountains. So the mountains, I have two layers for the mountains. First is this layer. This is the base color of purple color, and behind is the kind of a lighter purple. And after I draw in the shape of the mountains, I draw in the light color to make it to form like a mountain shape. By using light color, I form the mountain shape like this one. And then the next layer of mountains is kind of different shade of purple. It is about here, yeah. And then I continue to paint the form for the mountains using a lighter purple color. Let's enable the tree. Now I'm going to go into the fog layer. So for the fog layer, I used a watercolor bleed because it's kind of like a clouds shaped, and I use a very bright purple to about here, and I paint in the fog. Next, let's go to the I paint the clouds, and let's see the clouds layer. So it's very easy. I've already sketched out the clouds following the reference photo in kind of circle color, most likely like a sphere shape. And I paint in the dark purple first, and I'm going to paint the mid tone and then the light tone above, and then I try to blend a bit. And then for the final layer is the star. The star layer I have. First I draw the star using this brush, the star brush, swinging paint star pen. I have stroke. I make it like this straight stroke, and then I duplicate and use a screen mode, and I set the whole for the screen mode to lighter color. And the final element I have is the moon. Let's see the moon layer. So the base is this moon, crescent moon shape, and then I duplicate it to apply Gaussian blur, and then I duplicate again to apply Gaussian blur and much more stronger Gaussian blur effect. Stronger Gaussian blur strength. And then the next one I duplicate and I change the mode to screen. And then the next one I duplicate, I change the mode to color dodge and lower the opacity to about 50%. And for the final effects, I'm using the adjustment layer, hue and saturation, and also the curve layer, so that the shadows make the colors a bit more popped up, and you can see there's more contrast between the lighter color of purple and darker color of the purple. And that's how I using all of the brush inside Ibis Paint X to paint this forest night sky. Yeah, let's now watch this video of this painting. Yeah, for the start I will sketch out the layout for the mountains, all of the elements that I want, the clouds, the moon, the trees. And I also take note of how each element is placed in the canvas. Um, Here I'm starting to paint in the base color for each of the mountains.